Hi, welcome to the Daddykirbs farm. In this episode, you may catch me wearing my bee jacket, but it's not a beekeeping episode. In the last episode, you saw some beekeeping and where the horse had gotten into the bee yard despite my feeble attempts to put a strap around that entrance. Well, we're going to remove that strap altogether and build a gate. I have put some supplies in the back of my little blue truck here. Some battery powered tools, some screws, a hammer, bolt cutter, piece of wire, some scrap boards, some angle pieces. I have a rough idea how this gate is going to go together. I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but we're going to take this stuff back there and we're going to try to build a gate. The reason I might be wearing the bee jacket is that we will be working right there by the bees. We'll be turning power tools on and off. I don't know if they're going to come out and be curious or upset or just leave us alone. But no matter what, this gate needs finished. That's why I'm bringing the bean jacket. Not bean jacket, bee jacket. First thing we need to do is get over here and take all of this down. I had at one point planned on putting these 2x2s up across the top of this, but they were stored on top and they've fallen down. So I need to pile those up, get them out of the way, and then see what we can do with this material. This gate doesn't have to be fancy by any means. It just has to keep horses out of here. I do want it to look nice, but I'm not interested in making it really ornate and fancy. So ultimately, I think what I'm going to go for is something that continues these straight lines across to make it look more like a continuation of the fence rather than a fancy gate. So we do have some of our 2x6s here, which will run horizontally. And then, I don't know if we'll use them, but I had some of these corner braces that came off of another door. They did have hinges built into them, but one of the hinges broke off, so the hinge part is not actually going to do me any good. I found a couple of other hinges that I was not using. I think those will work just fine to hold this gate up. This is where I'm not sure if the bees are going to like me. Once I start firing up these power tools, So far so good with the bees. I've made 5 cuts I think with the saw. No problem, nobody's bumping me, nobody's checking me out. So this really should be a fairly simple gate. I'm not going to be able to use that corner hardware like I thought. But I think overall, I think it's going to be even simpler than I thought it was going to be. I'm not going to put a lot of screws in at first because I didn't bring a square out, and I want to make sure I'm squared up to my my post before I start screwing this down and locking it in. Sometimes when you're working alone and you don't have an extra hand for support, you have to get creative. So in this case, I just put one screw up here to hold it in place, another screw over here to hold this up, and then I'll go ahead and put these in. I'll take this screw out and see how these hinges hold. You can see it's a little bit warped, but I think once I get a couple of straps around this, I'm not sure what kind of latch I'm going to use, but in the meantime I'll just put some rope around it. And let's see, look at that. It's a little bit warped, my boards are imperfect, but overall, let's see, it closes nicely, sits in place. I'll put a rope around here and around here just to make sure. Eventually I'll put a latch on here, but I'm not sure what I have, and I'm not interested in spending money on this project since I had all of this material available already. I'm hoping I can find a latch system that works that doesn't cost me anything. I brought this out here thinking that this wire panel, thinking I might put that on there somehow, but it ended up just not being the right size and I didn't need it. So it does have some rope on it. I can take that rope off and use that for a latch for now. I think I'll go ahead and put a cross brace on there just to keep it, just to help it from not wanting to sag over time. Almost perfect. We're going to get some of this rope off of this piece of wire that has been sitting around the farm forever. And we'll use that as a latch. I say temporary, but it's probably going to be forever. Well, I ended up with 2 pieces of rope. I put this one up here with the little screw. That one's just going to hang on there. It'll help hold the top. But then I started thinking, Teo seems to be pretty good at getting in and out of things, and it probably wouldn't take a whole lot for him to figure out how to nudge that off. So I went ahead and tied another one just around the 2. I'll have to untie that every time, but until I get a proper latch, that's going to have to work. That actually looks nicer than what I had in my mind originally. I like the simple lines. One simple brace. It looks country. It looks like a horse fence or a bee fence. And I got to do it all with materials that I had here on the farm. No money spent, no additional money. Some of that material, like those hinges, were purchased for a project a long time ago, and then I ended up taking them off of that project when it was no longer needed. So there it is, the bee yard fence to keep the horse out. The bees should be safe, the horses should be a little safer, and I feel good about what we just did. Here on the Daddykirbs farm, I truly, deeply, firmly believe that everyone has a story and every story counts. Thank you so much for being a part of my story through this video and letting me be a part of yours. I believe your story counts because I believe you count. I'll talk to you soon.